Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Rescue Team DX.
Yes. Hey guys, and welcome back. I guess you should welcome me back, but let's not get into that. So let me ask you something. Who do you think about when you hear the word PlayStation 2 mascot? Okay, that's more than one word, but you know what I mean. Chances are you are going to say maybe Ratchet and Clank. Or maybe you're gonna say Jak and Daxter. Perhaps some of you may even say Sly Cooper. These three series kind of became Sony's unofficial mascot trio for the PlayStation 2. And today we're taking a closer look at the Sly side of things. The game stars Sly Cooper in the game of the same name. Or, well, in Europe it's called Sly Raccoon because, Sly Cooper is a fledgling thief who runs a gang with his two best friends, Bentley the technician and hacker.
Butterfly Bentley. No! Bentley!
No, not that Bentley. And Murray, the driver and, occasional cannon fodder, I suppose. Sly met these fellows at an orphanage where he ended up after his father got murdered after 5 shadowy figures appeared on their doorstep one night. The Fiendish Five, as they're known as, immediately located the Cooper family's book of thieving techniques passed down through generations upon generations of Coopers after murdering Sly's father. Each member of the Fiendish Five then ripped out a page of the book. And now, several years later, it's up to Sly and his friends to take back the pages and restore the Thievius Raccoonus to its former glory, so that Sly might one day add his own accomplishments into the book. But first, he has to find out where these Fiendish Five are hiding. Luckily, Interpol has a police file on Sly Cooper and, by extension, a police file on these guys. And your thieving career can officially start. After a quick little tutorial, and an annoying one.
Sly! Come in! Sly! Do you read me?
You crack the safe, you get the file, and as you try leaving, you're ambushed by Carmelita Montoya Fox. Someone who, in this universe, must be quite the babe. With a hot Latina accent as well, damn. But why does a Latina Fox babe somehow seem so familiar?
Hello, love. What are you doing? Do you want some tacos?
Aw, thanks, but no thanks. I'm trying to review the Sly series.
Okay, good luck with that, amor.
Thanks, love. I love you. What could it be? Beats me. Anyway, Sly escapes and is hot on the heels of the first member of the Fiendish Five, Sir Raleigh the Frog. And this is where this series really sets itself apart. These animated cutscenes are so much fun. They set up a little bit of the backstory to each of the villains, and it helps make them into characters on their own. It's really well done. I particularly love the shading of this. And from here on out, the basic gameplay loop emerges. Each chapter focuses on taking down a different member of the Fiendish Five. And in order to do that, Sly must first infiltrate the hub area, then collect keys to do various tasks that'll help him reach the boss. The levels themselves usually follow the theme of what the hub is representing and are just straight platforming levels. This is important to take note of because this changes drastically in the upcoming games. But for now, they're mostly just straight gauntlets or platforming challenges. There are, of course, stealth elements, but for the most part, it's actually really just a platforming game, which I think might be a little bit of a shame. I would have loved to see even more focus on stealth. I suppose the reason stealth is there at all is because you go down in one hit unless you have a horseshoe. This means that you'll mostly think twice before rushing headlong into combat. Now, I mentioned horseshoes just now, and that is because those are maybe the most valuable things you'll get in this game, aside from techniques, of course. You see all of those coins? You trade them for a horseshoe when you get 100 of them. It's the Mario principle, and it serves to actually make me feel like Sly is a little more of a rotund plumber than a thief, if you catch my coronavirus. Nah, what I mean is that I'd really like for the coins you steal to actually serve some purpose other than one extra hit. It really makes you feel like Spider-Man. No, sorry, I mean, it really makes you feel like this is developer Sucker Punch's first iteration of the idea, and that it's made to be more of a platformer than anything else. And I mean, it sure is, but that also means that you have a few platformer tropes that the game struggles to shake a bit. At the end of the level is a key. Always. In Mario, it's stars. In Sly, it's keys. Even when progression doesn't feel like it makes sense that we get keys. I mean, take a look at this situation here, for example. We're trying to find a way into Mugshot's casino, the second member of the Fiendish Five. But what kind of place does it make sense for you to have 3 keys to get in? Maybe a heavily locked back door or something. Nah. See this car here? It's currently running, but the wheels are off the ground. If we use 3 keys, we can lower the car and have it bust open the wall. Very stealthy, very thief-like, right? Alright, let me clarify this. None of this is bad, absolutely not. It's just a little tropey, yeah? I wish this first game had a little bit more unique level progression, because everything else is style through and through. See the cell shading? Toon shading is what Sucker Punch called it, and it was pretty dang cool at the time. Or how every time you sneak, you hear these little sneaky sound effects. They're cool. Really cool. The music is also really classy and stealthy. It's sort of like all the soundtrack is like the beginning parts to the James Bond theme. It's so calm and collected. There are clue bottles you can find in each level, and they help you find various upgrades and saves. And those are real game changers too. Again, this game oozes personality. It's so much fun. I just wish it was just a little less platformer trope and a little more stealth. Fortunately, as we'll see later, this is something that future games are going to rectify. What's left for us to discuss is how the game progresses. So, after taking down Mugshot in a, mirror duel, I suppose, you're off to the swamps of Haiti to take down Ms. Ruby, an alligator using voodoo magic. That's a really cool concept, but I feel like some of these levels are just a bit too similar in style. It's a little too dark for my taste sometimes. I mean, it's not bad, of course, it's just a personal preference. There are also some cool missions with different gameplay types here, though. There's one where you have to light candles by running over flammable fish with a boat, and one where you have to shoot ghosts in like a twin-stick shooter kind of deal. And a ghost who wants you to whack 50 chickens in a limited amount of time. It's all absurd and extremely silly, bordering on childish sometimes, but I cannot deny the dumb charm of it all. The boss herself, though, Miss Ruby, oh man. She does this rhythm minigame, which is really cool and refreshing for a game like this. At least it is the first time you try fighting her. If you die and start over, the music is no longer in sync. I think this might be because of the PS3 remaster, but I'm not sure. This made this boss feel incredibly unfair, and I kinda dread going back to her every time I play it. One day I really need to get my hands on the original PS2 game and see how that holds up. See, the PS2 was never really my system. I got it pretty late in its life cycle, and even then it was only to play Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. But I digress. The fourth member of the Fiendish Five is the Panda King, who uses his advanced fireworks to extort people, lest he buries their cities under an avalanche. In other words, a real piece of work here then. And once again, you have to break into their base of operations, which is really cool. And the way you do is absolutely asinine. I mean, it all becomes a bit formulaic, sure, but why not? There are some more missions here. As usual, Carmelita will chase you around a bit. You'll also protect Murray in a turret section. You're gonna drive some cars, etc. Honestly, it's pretty standard stuff. It's all pretty standard stuff. And it's honestly quite hard to really know what to talk about, because Sly's first outing is so standard. It's a 3D platformer with some variety here and there, but it still somehow manages to feel like every other game in the genre. Even when I know for a fact that's not the case. I mean, hey, if nothing else, it's at least done really well. So, you take down the Panda King. The Thievius Raccoonus is almost complete. There's only one more guy left, the mysterious Clockwork. Sly notices that in all the pages of the book, there's a shadowy owl figure in the background.
Coincidence? I think not!
As Sly arrives, he sees Carmelita in some sort of tube. She's been captured, and even though he smells a trap, he just can't leave her be. Guess what? It's a trap.
Who'da thunk it?
Luckily, Bentley does the good hack and saves them both. Carmelita then teams up with Sly, and together they take down Clockwork, who has become immortal, based on nothing but hate and jealousy of the Cooper line. Alrighty then. With Clockwork down, Carmelita wants to arrest Sly, but she is giving him a 10-second head start.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh my god, they smooched!
They did? That is so gay!
And with that, Sly's first outing is complete. As I mentioned briefly, it's a pretty bog standard 3D platformer, but you know what? It's done really well, and it's pretty short to boot as well. That makes it great for repeat playthroughs, and you can't really argue with the super cool comic book style it's going for. The animated cutscenes are great, somewhat like what a higher budget South Park would look like. The game's objectives don't always jive with me fully, and I do find some levels to be somewhat busy work. I might have wished for the Fiendish 5's operations to be a bit more spelled out. We get info like, Raleigh is a mechanic for the Fiendish 5, but you don't really know what for. They don't feel like a gang working different angles, just more like a bunch of different bosses in a very gamey sense. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot to talk about the controls themselves. I gotta say, one reason why I say this is all so fun in the end, despite all my bitching, is that Sly controls absolutely amazing. I can't believe how they made everything you need available just by jumping and hitting the circle button. Need to climb? Jump and circle. Do you need to walk on a thin line? Jump and circle. Do you need to land on a thin spire? Jump and goddamn circle, my dudes. Sure, you have some extra abilities that map to different buttons, but mostly just goddamn jump and yeah, you guessed it, circle! It's honestly a big part of what makes this game so good. See a blue trail? Jump and circle! I mentioned earlier that the game feels like every other in the genre, even though I know it's not the case. And that's what I mean. The level design and all feels very standard. The bosses don't feel like they make much sense as a group. Some missions feel like they drag on, and the game does feel a bit formulaic. But I do love the way Sly moves, and that's what makes the game so much fun, even if I am a bit hard on it. It has some blemishes, but only because I know where the series went from here. It feels a little dated is all. All that aside, I gotta admit that for the most part, I can't say that I don't enjoy this game a lot. It is a ton of fun, and it's highly recommended. Though be aware that the game has aged a little. It does smell a bit of first game syndrome, but you know, I do like a game that's a bit rough around the edges. That kind of gives it personality to me. Luckily, as we'll see in the next game in the series, the Sly series is about to make a big change to how it's structured. So, that's the first Sly game over and done with. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for supporting me. This video is, well, it's not the video I want to make. I want to talk more about Sly 2, 3, and 4, but this one needed to come first, so that's why it might feel a little bit rushed. Rest assured that the next ones are going to be better. Also, thank you to Terry for so many wonderful art pieces. The same goes for Nutty Mick and all those others who did such wonderful pieces since my last video. You guys rule. Same to you, patrons. Thanks for being you. But for now, I'll catch you later. I've got a video about underwater horrors to make. That's not gonna make itself. See ya. Ha det bra.